This Claude skill can take your website from this to this in just a couple of iterations. So today I'm going to show you the exact workflow I use to create websites like this with Opus 5, starting with the skill that I've used, how to prompt the model to build your websites in any style that you wish, and finally how to refine the result until you get something that actually looks professional. And let me start by showing you the final result. So this is a landing page for an AI consultancy business. And if I start scrolling through the website, you've got this nice little scroll through animation here that kind of moves through the clouds, and then we land at the rest of the obviously website, and there's a nice little gradient here as well. And I quite like how this is laid out, to be honest. So we've got the timeline, 8 weeks in the open, and if I keep going, this is where we've got the use cases, and that is pretty much it. So it's short, but gets the job done. And this is the final CTA here as well. So the thing about this landing page is that it wasn't built in one shot. So the way I approached creating this is I had Opus produce different variations of the same website for me. And then I picked one, I asked it to generate different variants of that again. And then finally I picked one of them, and then I had Claude generate all the assets and all the other elements for the website. And this is how I ended up on this landing page. So this approach is a little bit different to what I talked about in the previous videos. So previously I shared those long template prompts that you could use to generate beautiful websites. But if you wanted to have something that's more flexible and that will fit more use cases, then this is the approach. So I've nailed this down to a simple step-by-step, and it goes like this. So first of all, we need to have some design inspiration, because to be honest, when we're just starting out, we are not really sure what we're looking for, right? So there are 3 different websites I've got that you can go to where you can find different design inspirations. So first one is Dribble, and this is my go-to, to be honest. So I've got dribble.com, and I'm going to leave all the links below the video so you can access them. And I just filtered by web design, and if I scroll through, this is where I've got the various different web designs that I can take screenshots of, I can copy videos. So like this one here, for example, I can just take a screenshot and then save that to my idea bank. And if you're working on a project for a specific niche, you've got the search box at the top. This is where you can search for your niche, so say insurance or agency, and then it will show you designs related to that. And the other website is Awards. So again, the same idea here. You've got different design templates that you can look through and see if you can find any ones that you like. And the last one on the list is Landbook. So this is the one I use the least of out of the 3. But this is where I've got some various elements as well, like sections and motion, images, etc. So you can browse through and see if you see any designs that you like. So as I said before, the idea here is that we create some sort of idea bank that contains, screenshots, videos, URLs of the designs that we want to replicate, or at least take inspiration from. So once we have some ideas in the bank, the next step is to have a Claude skill installed. And the one I'm going to show you today is called Hallmark. So they've got their own website. We're going to leave all the links in the description. And this one's got just over 20,000 stars on GitHub. So it's quite popular. And what the skill actually does is it identifies the common AI slope elements like the purple gradient or the inter font, and it just replaces them with something else. And if I scroll a little bit further down, we've got different slope elements that this skill is designed to pick out. So yeah, the purple gradient, inter as the display font. One other thing to add to this list would be the orange gradient that Opus just loves to generate. I know that my website is actually based on the orange color scheme, but it's actually my fault because that's the design I picked. So yeah, just blame me for this and not AI. And this is what the GitHub looks like. Again, I'm gonna leave all the links in the description. So by far the easiest way to install the skill is to simply just copy the GitHub link and then head over to Claude Code and then just ask it to install the skill. So can you install this skill for me? And once you send that off, the Claude's gonna handle the rest for you pretty much. So if you don't want to mess around with any commands, anything like that, that's by far the easiest way to do it. And once you have the skill installed, I've got the prompt for you that you can use. So this is where you can provide your website idea, the target audience, who the website is actually for, and the one thing that website should achieve. So is it to get the visitors to book a call or something else? And I've got the section here for the variants as well. So the idea here is that whatever model you use, I used Opus 5 in this case, but whatever model you use will generate different variants of the same website. So as you can see, I've run this prompt through Claude Code, and if I scroll a bit further down, I've got the 3 variants here. So V1, V2, and V3, all saved on the same local host. So if I go back here, and I've got this menu here on the top, and as you can see, those are the V1, V2, and V3. So this is what the V1 looks like. So again, I didn't aim to have a perfect one-shot result because I want to see where the model can actually take me based on the idea that I provide. So V3 was the one I went with. So it looked like this at the start. So a little bit different to the final website that you saw. And just for the record as well, this is what the variant number 1 looked like. And this is probably the most AI sloppy website I've seen from Opus so far, Opus 5, I mean. So it's got this interactive element here that you can see that elements move through this sort of graph here. So that's quite cool, but the final result isn't the most impressive. I would imagine that Opus 5 would be able to produce something a little bit more comprehensive than this, but apparently not. And the variant number 2 was the one I was actually thinking about going with for the next phase, because I really like how this kind of comes together, and I like the colors as well. So it's got a different theme. I think this looks a bit vibe coded, like this type of font here, but that's fine. And I think that is pretty much it. And I like how this is kind of handwritten as well. So if there are different elements that you like from one variant, you can even ask Claude to copy it to another variant and then obviously create different variations of that. So that is an option as well. So once I had this, I went back to Claude and asked it to generate 3 versions of variant number 3. I also asked it to make some changes to it at that point, and it went ahead and generated 3 different variants of the same website. So those were v13, v12, and v3-3. So it's a bit closer to the final result. So this is the one I ended up choosing, so v31. And this is why I love using this method, because if I go to v3-2, this one has the same color theme, same font probably, but completely different layout. And I can do the same thing. So if I like any of the specific sections, I can ask Claude to migrate them over to the final version. Maybe I like this FNQ section, then I can ask it to copy it. This is the one I probably wouldn't pick anyway, but I kind of like this section here. So maybe I could have this spot a little bit further down on the final version. And just to show you v3-3 as well. So again, completely different. And this one is a little bit more of an AI style website where you have text in the middle and got different kind of buttons here, and everything is placed in the middle. But I quite like this as well, to be honest. Nothing wrong with that in my opinion. But yeah, v3-1 was the one I've picked. And yeah, at that point I had to come back. And as you can see, I've got the prompt here. So I said create one final polished version of variant 3-1. And I've laid out some final changes that need to be made. And at that point, I directed AI to use replicate API to generate any assets. So normally when you create things like this, you would provide your own assets, so images, videos, but this time I wanted to obviously have model to generate some with AI. At this point, you could use something like Higgsfield as well, but I decided to go with replicate. So I said use Nano Banana for images and then Seedance fast for videos if you need to. And if I come over here, so v3-1 final, this was the final result. So we essentially went from websites that looked like this, so it's complete AI slop, to websites that look like this. And if you want to replicate the exact site I created, I've got the idea section here in the document as well. So this is what I've actually used for the prompt. So a landing page for agency called Optiva, and then I've got the description here, target audience, goal, and then the variants. I did provide the screenshot as well. I'll give you a link to that as well if you want to recreate the website. So variant number 3 was the one I actually chose. So once you land at the variant that you're happy with, the last step is to get it published live. And for that, you can use something like Netlify. So netlify.com, this is where you can ask Claude to deploy your website to. And you can also use Vercel. So those are very similar to each other. And you might need to set up GitHub as a kind of middle point between the two, but Claude's going to help you with that, so don't worry about it. So just to recap what we went through, we had 3 different websites where we got our design inspiration from. From there, we created our design idea bank with different designs. And we then used the Claude skill. So Hallmark, we installed the skill, and then we got the prompt to generate different variants of our website for us, for our specific idea, target audience, and the final goal. And I'm not going to read through the whole prompt. It's quite long, so you can do that yourself if you want to. So that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it useful. If you did, let me know in the comments. And if you want to see more videos like this, then do let me know as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.